the position that the political class will be taking weekend or not. And then we will open it up to a debate. Please keep your points short, put your hand up, there is a microphone, someone will come to you with a microphone. If you could just say who you are before you make a point, that would be great. We have until about 8:15, so I'm hoping for a pretty lively discussion. Perhaps not one that will end up as such a YouTube sensation as last year's debate, but you'll notice we're all drinking water. But you never know, you never know. So on my left, on my far left, we have Meg Russell. She's an expert on Parliament. Meg was consultant to the Royal Commission on the Reform of the Lords in 1999, and from 2001 to 2003 was seconded as a full-time advisor to Robin Cook, who was then leader of the House of Commons. She was advisor to the recent Wright Committee on Parliamentary Reform, and her publications include the Fabian Society pamphlet, Must Politics Disappoint? Next to her is Cristina Odone, a journalist, novelist and broadcaster who specialises in the intersection between society, families and faith. She currently blogs for The Telegraph and was previously deputy editor of The New Statesman and editor of The Catholic Herald. Cristina is also a research fellow at the Centre for Policy Studies. She's written pamphlets including In Bad Faith and What Women Want. On my right here, this is the slightly negative corner, slightly positive corner perhaps, but it remains to be seen. On my right is David Halpern. He was chief analyst in the Prime Minister's Strategy Unit between 2001 and 2007. He's held academic positions at Cambridge University, Nuffield College, Oxford, the Policy Studies Institute and at Harvard. He's written books including Social Capital and The Hidden Wealth of Nations. He's brought it in case we didn't believe him, perhaps, and authored a number of government reviews. And finally, on my far right is Helena Kennedy, a leading barrister and expert in human rights law, civil liberties and constitutional issues. She's chaired Charter 2088, the British Council and the Human Genetics Commission. She's also an ambassador for Power 2010 campaign, having chaired the Power Inquiry. Her book, Just Law, was shortlisted for the Orwell Prize in 2005. So, Helena, let's start with you. Has the political class, do you think, been fatally weakened?
Weakened, but not fatally. like the poor and the political class will always be with us. I think that what I think was very interesting was that the whole scandal on allowances, which everybody always points to as being the great sort of thing about how we now see the political class through that particular lens. I actually think that it was really just a symbol of something that, in fact, was about something much more concerning, which was about the whole way in which there already existed amongst the public a feeling that somehow they were being failed by the political class and by the system. And I know that because when I was asked after the last election, after the 2005 election, to chair the Power Inquiry. And it was the Roundtrees Trust that funded it, and they were concerned because there had been the lowest, basically what had happened was there was a very low turnout. I mean, it wasn't the lowest there had been, it was sort of hovered at 60%, 59%, 58% over the last few elections. But they were concerned that we were seeing lower and lower turnouts at elections, and at that last election, more people abstained than voted for the government. So it was a sort of singular moment. And so what they wanted to look at was, is something happening inside our democracy? Why are people not voting? Why is it that there are more people, members of the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, than belong to political parties altogether? And that was the task that I was given to chair the Power Inquiry. And going around and talking to people and turning up at residents' associations and community halls and all manner of places and having this conversation with people, what you discovered was that people really just felt their voice wasn't heard. They felt that often there wasn't any point in voting. And it's one of the reasons why I actually do feel less negative than I might have done a few months ago, is I actually do think we're suddenly feeling that there is a context, that people are thinking there are things that are going to be different here. They are remembering what it might be like to have Conservatives in government and what that might feel like. and there are a lot of people who haven't had that experience, so it might be worth talking about. There is a strong sense that there's been this discussion about a hung parliament, and that in many ways is making people think, well, maybe voting could make a difference in what happens here. Maybe it is a moment, a constitutional moment, a democratic moment that could be seized. And so I actually think that it's more exciting than I thought it would have been a few months ago, where I thought it was a pretty foregone conclusion that there was going to be a change of government. I'm not now quite as sure. I think that what's interesting is that what I think the allowance scandal picked up on was a very strong sense amongst the general public that they want the system to be different and to work better than it does. And the ways in which it fails, and we can talk about the small print and so on, but the way that it mainly fails is that I think the voting system is a disgrace. The idea that we have a first past the post, winner takes all thing, where you end up having a government packing the House of Commons with a huge majority when it's only got 34% of the vote, is incredible.
Okay, Helena, we'll come back to the break.
Yeah, so just sort of pull it down, but I actually think that it's about people feeling their voices don't count, their vote doesn't count, and that somehow means that they want a reforming parliament. So yes, I think there's been a weakening, we've got to seize the moment, but I don't think the political class is going to go away.